And we're actually going to go to Jason Lamb. He is in Henderson at the Cajun Palms. Jason.
Hey, and some good news here from the Cajun Palms RV Resort, where we're not really seeing much storm damage at all, except maybe for right over here. Hey, look, the swimming pool's flooded. Well, maybe not exactly the day to be out here doing that with all this rain. But come over here, take a look at this. You can see some of the RVs that have decided to ride out this storm. We got several of them here, maybe 5 or 6 just under these covered awnings. But we wanted to bring you up to speed here in this part of St. Martin Parish to tell you, yeah, we have been seeing a lot of damage in several places all across the area, but not so here. In fact, look, we got somebody who didn't choose to evacuate here, that duck over there crossing the road. So that is it from here in this portion of St. Martin Parish. We'll send it back to you guys.
That's a cute
Why
little
is a duck crossing the road?
It was a cute little duck. Nice to see the animals.
Must still have some hurricane snacks on the other side. What do you think, Eric?
Like the joke.
Go get it.
Definitely duck weather out there with all the rain that's been going on. That duck, I'm sure, is just fine right there at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we continue our team coverage this morning in St. Mary Parish. Here's ABC's Zachary Quiche with more. All right. Well, it's
going to be coming along here.
Yeah.
Zachary's been working hard down there.
Tropical Storm Barry continues to pose life-threatening flash flooding this morning as it slowly crawls inland. The storm dumping heavy rain, overwhelming banks and bayous, some areas under floodwaters by several feet. Breached levees sent water gushing into neighborhoods just like this. Powerful winds across Louisiana knocking over power lines and leaving more than 150,000 without light.
What we got is a curveball. I hadn't seen much rain, and then we get some 60, 70 mile an hour winds, and all of a sudden, a city that hadn't seen a hurricane in 10 years, we find our weak spots quick.
This is a big tree, and this is what 70-mile-per-hour sustained winds will do. Completely knocked off the corner of this house and smashed this SUV. This storm was too much for this camper, throwing it on its side. It peeled the roof off this home and left structures like it in shambles. Officials are telling drivers to stay home and off the road.
Turn around and go back. That is the source of most fatalities in floods, at least here in Louisiana over the last several years.
These drivers braving the elements, pulling over to remove this down sign blocking a highway. And in Myrtle Grove, the flooding seen for miles, the drone video showing homes and structures left submerged as far as the eye can see.
This storm has our attention, and it should have the attention of everybody across the state of Louisiana.
All right, thank you. We're now going to go over to Daniel Phillips, meteorologist. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll go to Abby Breidenbach. Abby Breidenbach is live. Oh, she's over in Vermilionville here this morning. Hey, Abby.
Hey guys, I'm live here at Vermilionville, just near the boat launch on the Vermilion River. Just wanted to give you a live look at the conditions of the Vermilion River right now. If you come over here, you can see there are some steps that are clearly supposed to go down to a place where you would take off your boat over to this bridge right here, and this is all completely flooded. The river is super high. You can tell if you take a look into the distance over there, you can see the Surrey Street Bridge newly refurbished, and the water's coming up pretty high up next to that bridge. It's getting really close to the bridge. We know that the river crests at 15 feet, and it looks like the water is pretty high right now. There are no visible markers around here to know exactly where the river is at this location. But again, just super high water levels. So even though the rain has stopped here, the flooding may continue if you're in an area that floods. Again, this is a live look at conditions of the Vermilion River right now. We just wanted to give you a look at it. We'll keep you updated on how the river looks. Oh, it looks like someone's about to come by in a boat right now. We'll see if we can talk to him and join you in a little bit later. That's all for now from the Vermilion River. Back to the studio.
of sleep to go along with it. This is Hunter Davis, by the way, and she's from our affiliate KXXV over in Waco, Texas, and you've been able to go around Acadiana. I know that you've seen some damage. We saw your reports yesterday, which were fantastic, by the way. How's it been since you've been around Acadiana and the people that you've met?
You know, I will say that it's been really interesting, actually. These people are going through what could be devastating flooding. It could take their homes, their cars, depending on where they're at in Acadiana. But they still are taking care of you. Me and my photographer that was with me, we walked into several homes yesterday and they were like, do you need food? Do you need water? Are you guys okay? And so it was really interesting knowing that these people could be losing everything and they were still willing to make sure that we were okay, and knowing that we were out there and, you know, making sure everyone else was safe. So it was just kind of nice to have people kind of realize that we were people and we were out there going through it too. So
now, you were down in the New Iberia area yesterday too. There was one home I remember you were visiting that had some roof damage there, but he was trying to get up there and repair that while the winds and the rain were still whipping around.
Yeah, so that was James and Andrea, and they, you know, they were the people that were like, come on in, you know, get out of the rain. Are you guys okay? And so they had this roof damage, and things were, you know, they had water damage on their ceiling. And yeah, as soon as he answered the door, actually, he's still putting clothes on because he's like, I've had to change so many times, because he said he and a neighbor were out and they were putting on packages of shingles and tarps and things like that to try to just keep things from getting worse. They said that they're kind of just holding out until the storm passes.
Do you know where you're going to be going today?
So we'll be back in Vermilion Parish today. We'll be kind of New Iberia, Abbeville, Delcombe a little bit. Okay. So just kind of going to go follow up on some of those areas yesterday that we saw were impacted.
And I know you mentioned how there's so much hospitality here in Acadiana. What's one thing that you love the most about just meeting people here and just getting to share their story?
So one thing that I love most, and it's something that's so simple, is I love the accents. First of all, being from Texas, so many people comment on our accents all the time. Yeah. So it's so fun kind of hearing all these different accents and stuff like that. I love trying to pronounce all of the different names. Oh, yeah. Here, Delcombe was one. Difficult. Yeah. Delcombe was one that was interesting.
Well, you did a good job.
You know, I tried. They gave us a little cheat sheet when we got here to say this is how you pronounce things. And, you know, we've even had to ask people, how do you say this road, or how do you say this? So, I mean, I really just love meeting new people and just being so welcomed into a brand new community. We've only been here 2 days, but I feel like people know us here already, and it's been great.
Real quick, you're in the Waco area. You're used to chasing little tornadoes and stuff like that. What's it like being in a hurricane situation?
It's not completely new. We had Hurricane Harvey about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
August will be 2 years. So that was kind of my first experience dealing with a hurricane. I will say this is my first time being kind of right in the center of it. We covered more the outskirts last time. So I will say the wind has been a significant experience. There's been no hope for my hair. So the hat and ponytail has been where I've been hanging out.
60 days a year here in South Louisiana.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So the wind, the rain, you know, it's all been a lot. But like I said, the people here have just made it worth it, because you want to keep them safe and you want to keep them informed.
Awesome. Thanks for coming down here and helping us out. Hunter Davis from KXXV over in Waco, Texas, helping us out. Real quick though, now we want to go over to meteorologist Eric Zernick rather. He is checking out the latest on the radar.
Yeah, so taking a look at the radar, we'll continue to give you the latest updates on the warnings that we have in and across portions of Acadiana. So here's the wide look. Continues to look for the most part fairly good. We still have some of those heavier bands working in through St. Mary Parish. It does look like Morgan City, you're about to get some of those stronger storms. We might even have to keep an eye on one or two of those. As you do look upstream over towards Baton Rouge, we do have this isolated cell that is tornado warned as it pushes just to the east of Baton Rouge down towards the Gonzales area along Highway 10, getting a new severe thunderstorm warning up to the north of Baton Rouge. So we are going to have to continue to watch for the possibility of maybe some stronger storms later on today. But as of right now, locally, things don't look too bad. The only real warning that we have is the flash flood warning that continues for most of Lafayette Parish down into portions of Vermilion, New Iberia, St. Martin, and St. Mary, and lower St. Martin Parish. That continues until 1 o'clock for that possibility of some roadways that are flooded due to the heavy rains that we saw earlier this morning, and some more of these light bands that we have moving through. So here's what we're kind of paying attention to. I want to zoom in a little bit. We'll take a look at kind of what we saw move through western portions of New Iberia Parish, you can see the good news is the storms, as they push inland, look to be weakening a little bit, kind of like what we saw yesterday, at least through a good portion of the day. So that is some good news, but definitely some fast-moving showers that are pushing through New Iberia and up into the Park St. Martinville area. That is producing probably some moderate showers with some gusty winds, maybe up to 30, 40 miles per hour with that. We'll have to watch for what this is doing down here, a little more downstream, moving through the bay. See how that holds together. It could bring another round of showers to Delcombe and right along this area, which could lead to more flooding for some of those zones and portions of Acadiana. And then off to the west, we can see we got some bands moving through portions of Cameron Parish, so just to the north of Cameron, Creole, Grand Chenier, and stuff like that. And even up towards Lake Charles, you're beginning to see some decent showers pushing into the area towards Iway and up towards Kinder. So we are watching for some of this scattered activity pushing into portions of Acadiana. We'll zoom this out a little bit and flip this on to kind of see what the winds are doing in some of these areas. And again, continuing to see some wind gusts now as we're shooting up towards the Ville Platte area. That's showing a wind gust of 49 miles per hour, but that's probably a little bit high as we're shooting that pretty high up in the cloud tops. But I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing at least some 30, 40 mile an hour wind gusts in some of those storms. And then as some of these systems move onshore, you can see possibly 50, 60 mile an hour winds as that system pushes on along the Cameron coast. So we will still have the possibility for scattered heavier thunderstorms throughout the day, along with the possibility for some of those tropical rain bands could be on the stronger storms, along with the gusty winds mixed in with each of those cells that do push on, and a very low end threat that one or two could become stronger and could possibly become a severe thunderstorm warning or maybe even a tornado. That is what we're all paying attention to. So do not let your guard down, as we will have the possibility for some more heavier rains moving into Acadiana through the rest of our Sunday and even into the overnight hours and possibly into Monday. So Dave, Kendria, back to you, but just kind of keep advised of what we're going to be watching through the rest of our day.
Okay, we're going to go now to our friend Mike Steele, who's the GOSEP Communications Director. I believe he's over in Baton Rouge this morning. Hey, Mike, how's it going over there this morning?
Hey, good morning, Dave.
Tell us what's, I know the state has done a lot to prepare for Tropical Storm and Hurricane Barry. Where are you guys right now, and what do you need to let folks know?
So I guess, a lot of the attention is starting to shift to you guys in the Acadiana region with the flash flood threat and everything going on right now. The governor was actually scheduled to fly around certain parts of the state, kind of taking a look at some of the levee work that was being done in South Louisiana and maybe taking a look at some of the areas that was hit hardest around the coast and then kind of working his way back up. And so we're trying to figure out if those flights can even happen with everything going on. Ironically, we're getting a lot more weather alerts this morning for the Baton Rouge area than we faced all week as we were kind of ramping up, for Barry. It seems like, now that it's kind of past the region, this is when we're seeing the most dangerous, weather kind of start to pop up, even over towards Hammond and some of those areas. So, our message to the public is basically just, we're not out of this yet. There's still a lot of moisture out in the Gulf. If some of those bands and some of that heavier rain, continues to come on shore, if some of these tornado, warnings continue to pop up, there's still some things to be concerned about. And so we're asking the public to really, continue to pay attention to what's going on.
And like you just mentioned, we're not really cleared yet on just the weather conditions. How important is it for people to not let their guards down?
I mean, it's very important, and I can say actually on the drive in this morning, it looked like a lot of people were kind of hunkered down, and there wasn't a lot of traffic on the roadway. But if you're having flash flood events, in your area, that those events are often where we see the most problems and often see the most fatalities. People try to drive on flooded roadways and those type things. So we're asking the public, pay attention to the warnings, check with your media. Check 511la.org from DOTD before you hit the road, especially if you're traveling maybe to another part of the state. Find out what you're dealing with and check the weather forecast in those areas before you hit the road to make sure you don't drive into any problems.
Now, Mike, does GOSEP have a Facebook page or a website if people want to get a clearinghouse of information from you?
Yeah, and there's one thing I really want to push out. most of all. So when we're dealing with a major weather event, and this would be for any event, anything that's pretty substantial, we have emergency.la.gov.
Okay.
So all of the communication staff from all of the different agencies that we work with in the state, all of the communication staff kind of come together, and we operate what's called the Joint Information Center, or JIC. And so we start pushing out information to the media and to the public through that kind of single source effort. And so when we go to emergency.la.gov, you'll find everything there as far as all the releases that we're pushing out to help the public kind of have a one-stop shop to find all that information. So even if it's information from our local partners that needs to be pushed out, we'll take their press releases and try to consolidate all that in one area.
Will the governor be having another press conference sometime today?
We also have very active Facebook and Twitter accounts too, if the public would like to follow that.
Will the governor be meeting with folks and having another press conference sometime today?
Yeah, so as of right now, the plans are to have a 4 o'clock press briefing here at GOSEP, similar to what he's been doing all week. That was kind of based on the travel schedule and to see if he could wrap up that trip in time to get that done. So as of now, that's the plan. And so we, and they're streaming those news briefings live on the governor's Facebook page and everything. So there's a lot of way to check in on those.
All right. Well, Mike, thanks for joining us this morning. This is Mike Steele, the GOSEP Communications Director. That's the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. Mike, you guys take care. Give our best to the governor, too. And we'll talk to you as needed throughout the day.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right.
All right, and we've been talking about how important it is for people to send in their pictures and videos. It's our way of being able to see what they're seeing. And we have Daniel Phillips. He's standing by in the social news desk with those pictures. Daniel.
Guys, thanks. Yeah, we were talking yesterday morning about the Vermilion River and how it was actually sitting in one of the 10 lowest it's ever been. It got down to like 3.5 feet, I think, and now bouncing back up today. Well, Jeff Johnson sent in some pictures to the newsroom to give you a before and after image of how much it's really come up. And last I checked, it was sitting at about 12.5, a little over 12.5 feet. And you can see just how much that water is coming from, and not just how high the water is now, but how low it was earlier on. So the river is something that's going to be very dynamic. That's going to be a very fluid situation, no pun intended there. It is going to change, and it will need monitoring all the way through the rest of the day. And you can see how quickly that water comes up. That's a 24-hour difference there, going from one of the 6 lowest to well above flood stage. Again, the flood stages go, minor flood begins at about 10 feet, moderate flood starts right around 14 feet, with major flood right around 16 feet. Crest is still expected to be about 15 feet. We're looking about 2.5, a little under 2.5 feet below what it was in 2016. But again, Jeff Johnson sending those images into us. Great images taken from the Surrey Street Bridge about 24 hours apart. You can see how fast that river is coming up. And again, with more rainfall on the way, not just on the main river, but on some of the smaller tributaries as well. Something to monitor here as we go for the next 24 hours. Guys?
All right, thanks, Daniel. As we continue to watch that, I was just looking here. 12.83 is where the Vermilion River at Surrey Street stands right now. That was as of 9:15, and kind of looking at the graph here, it looks like it might be leveling off a little bit, which is some really good news.
Well, we're going to go to Chris Welty. He's in Youngsville, where the Lafayette Sheriff's Office are doing search and rescue missions. Welty.
Hey guys, good morning, and good morning Acadiana. We're live in Youngsville, right across the street from New News and Entergy. They actually just wrapped up fixing some of the power lines here, restoring power in this area. Definitely a big job out here as crews are finally getting a break from some of the rain. They're able to come out and start restoring some of the power. And across the street, just to see, you can see how many people are coming to New News shopping. They're finally getting some of their grocery shopping done. I'm sure they were going a little stir crazy in their house, trying to ride out the storms. And moments ago, we were on one of the high water vehicles with the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office, and they actually brought 3 really cute dogs that were in some of the floodwaters to higher ground so their owners could load them up into their vehicle. You can find that photo on my Twitter as well as my Facebook page. So conditions here in Youngsville, not that bad right now. The rain has really slacked off, not raining at all right now, so that's some good news. But we are told one of the other neighborhoods not too far from here does have some pretty high water, so we're going to go check that out in a little bit, and of course we'll bring that to you live on air as well as on social media. Live in Youngsville, Chris Welty, KATC TV3.
All right, thanks, Chris. You can see right there as he got on television, everybody in Youngsville is going, yeah, the new news is open. And all of a sudden, everybody's turning into the driveway there.
Oh, yeah, big exciting time, I know.
Got to refresh on those snacks.
Yeah, well, we're actually going to turn it over to Abby Breidenbach. She has more.
We're going to weather
sorry,
next.
we're actually going to weather.
Meteorologist Eric Zernick is back in the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, still talking about some decent rains over parts of Acadiana, but it does appear, just looking at the radar, that there's a large area that's getting a little bit of a break right now.
Yeah, it does look like a good portion of Acadiana is getting a break, so those people that are now maybe running to News to try and restock on the hurricane snacks, as it has been a very long berry watch over the last 36, 48 hours. You might be running out of those snacks, so if you can safely maybe get out and need to get some more provisions, now would be the time to do it. As you can see, we continue to have this lull throughout much of Lafayette Parish down into Vermilion, but we are starting to see more showers working their way out of the bay and pushing into Iberia, where they've already seen the heaviest amount of rain. So that's where we've been seeing the worst flooding back through Avery Island, Jefferson Island, and kind of more or less south of Highway 90 in Iberia Parish, but that will continue to work up into New Iberia, into some of the parks and St. Martinville area of St. Martin Parish. So that's what we're watching, continuing to have the heavier bands working through St. Mary Parish down towards Morgan City. Let me zoom in a little bit just to kind of pinpoint some of these communities that we are seeing some of those heavier showers. So you can see right now still just to the west of Morgan City. It looks like Franklin, you've been probably the hardest hit over the last hour or so, and I would say you still have 45 minutes to go before you get this band to finally scoot off to the east. You've kind of been in that training setup, so I think that's where we're probably seeing the worst of our flooding. That's where the flash flood warning does continue until at least 1:15, so a good 3 hours still left with that flash flood warning. Stevensville also just to the west of some of the heavier showers, but as mentioned, we are watching some of this now moving through the point and getting ready to push into Iberia Parish. That'll be working up towards Delcombe again, New Iberia, so more rounds of showers are what's going to be in store for us later on today. Also into Cameron Parish, seeing some of those bands beginning to move through, and some of these do have some gusty winds, 50, 60 miles per hour. Also have some decent showers pushing towards northern Jeff Davis Parish up into Evangeline, as you can see, just to the north of Eunice. So Mamou probably getting some good showers. Over into the Ville Platte area, you'll begin to see the rains pick up. Even back into St. Landry Parish, you're starting to see at least some light to moderate showers from Opelousas up Highway 49 into Washington and some of those portions in those areas. Breaux Bridge, not really seeing a whole lot, but we are continuing to watch some more showers that are down to our south. Now, I want to show you the big picture and kind of break down what I'm seeing as far as Tropical Storm Barry, as it still has 40-mile-an-hour winds with its location of center just to this area, somewhere near the Shreveport area. But what I am beginning to notice, and what the National Hurricane Center is noticing, is it is starting to now maybe push a little bit to the north and northeast. And so if that continues to trend, maybe some of this gets pushed a little bit more east of us, but still expect all this activity to continue to get wrapped around and push up into Lafayette. But this little bit of a break has been some good news. So as Dave Baker mentioned just a little bit ago, here's the updated look at the Vermilion, at least at Surrey stage. And you can see there has been that peak almost at 12.8 feet. So due to at least the lessening of rains within the last couple hours here, the Vermilion's been able to kind of level off. But as we look downstream at the Perry gauge in Vermilion Parish, you can see that's continuing to come up due to those southerly winds. And as that water continues to come up, that's going to prevent the Vermilion from coming down. So although there has been some good news with the Vermilion here as far as Lafayette Parish, it's kind of leveled off at that 12.8, 12.7 level, I don't expect it to come down much more. I expect it to kind of stay steady there at the 12, 8, 12, 7 mark. And then if we get some heavier rains on top of that, that could eventually push it up to that 15 foot. So we are not out of the woods just yet, as we will have the possibility for more of these heavier showers to work through. But just kind of give you one more look at the radar. Shows that at least Acadiana is pretty quiet. You do see over to our east towards Baton Rouge, that's where they have at least a couple tornado warnings ongoing and some severe thunderstorm warnings with those heavier bands that are working into the area. So we will still have to be on guard for the possibility for some of those stronger storms. But at the moment, it does look like the showers have been behaving themselves, at least locally for us here in Acadiana. But still, if you do not need to be on the roads, we don't advise it, as there continues to be the flash flood warning with some flooded roadways in at least portions of southeastern Acadiana. So just keep that in mind. If you are starting to get a little stir crazy, the best thing I would do now that we have this lull, at least within Lafayette and Vermilion, is get outside around your house, assess the situation, and start to clear up some of those drains so that when the next rounds of bands begin to move in, those drains can continue to get that water out of your neighborhoods and kind of continue to keep that from preventing it from getting into your home. So that is what we have right now in the Weather Center. I'm going to send it to Kendria to find out what we have going on across Acadiana.
Okay, we're going to check back in with Abby Breidenbach. She's at River Road where a tree fell into a house. Abby.
Hey Kendria, yeah, that's right. I'm here off of River Road, just off of Surrey Street near the bridge, where neighbors are dealing with the aftermath of the weather from last night. If you take a look behind me, you'll see a big LUS crew here working on a downed power line situation, and that downed power line is because of, if you come around here, it's because of this tree, this big oak tree that fell in the backyard of this house right here. This house, again, on the corner of River Road and Surrey Street. And as you can see, the oak tree fell from the backyard of the home onto the back of the home. We're looking for the homeowners. We haven't been able to talk to them yet, so not sure if everyone is okay. It looks like someone just got home, so maybe we'll be able to talk to them here in a little bit. But again, LUS crews just fixing this down power line situation. We spoke with one of the men from this crew, and he told us that no one on the block, no one in the neighborhood is without power, so that's good news. And it looks like the homeowners just, again, pulled into their driveway, so hopefully they're all safe too. Now, we don't know what time this happened. I'm assuming it must have been late last night whenever the winds were pretty heavy, but again, crews throughout the city just working to fix the aftermath of what happened last night. We'll join you a little bit later on with some more information, but for now, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Abby. We're going to go to the phone now. Morgan City Captain Betty Augmon. She's a public information officer there for the Morgan City Police Department. Good morning, Betty. How are things down in Morgan City? I know you've had a rough day and a rough night.
Good morning, Dave. Yes, we're just trying to assess the situations that we have going on here. Mostly we have power lines down and trees down, and we have crews out trying to assess the situation and get things back up and running.
Most of your city was without power for the last 24 hours, right?
Yes. That's why we had the curfew in place. The majority of the city, all of the city was out yesterday, last night, and today pretty much. We're trying to get some of the residents' lights on. The crews are working very hard trying to get that done, and we asking the public in the Morgan City area just to be patient with us and trying to get the electricity back on for everyone.
And Morgan City was one of the hardest hit areas for the storm. What are you guys doing to recover?
We're just asking the public just to be patient, and we're trying to get up all the debris and try to get the power lines back up, and we're working real hard just to get that done, and asking everyone to be patient, and if they can get up any debris around their house, that would help us a lot.
Are you guys going to have another curfew tonight?
It depends if all the power is restored to the city. If that happens, we won't. But if we have any more power outages, I would see curfew being put back in place for the city.
Do you guys have any flooding down there or any roads that are closed?
No roads are closed at this time, so we did pretty good with that. The pumping system managed the rain that we had for the last day or so, no flooding.
I'll let you know, though, that we're looking at the radar right now, and you've got a lot of heavy rain back west of you, over around the west over near the Franklin area, and another round that's going to be coming in. Do you think your pumps are going to be able to handle a couple, 3 more inches?
We're hoping so. I think they'll be able to handle it, and hoping and praying that we do well with this next stream of weather that's coming through.
Is 911 working down there?
As far as I know, it's working. They were having some issues with it, but I believe it's up and running right now.
And how would people, if it isn't an emergency and they just wanted to get some general information, do you have a website or a Facebook page that they could check?
Yes, our Facebook page is Morgan City Police Department. They can locate us there, and we're keeping the public updated on power outages and what power is on at the moment. So they look at our Facebook page. We'll keep them up to date with that. Also, the City of Morgan City, they can look at that page too. I believe they're keeping up with what power is on and how things are progressing in the city.
Okay, thank you. This is Captain Betty Augmon. She's the Public Information Officer for the Morgan City Police Department. You folks take care down there, and let us know if you need anything, and give us a call back if you've got any new news.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Well, we've been talking about how we want people to send in their pictures and videos of any kind of storm damage that they might have. And Daniel Phillips is actually standing by in the social news desk for more with that. Daniel.
Yeah, guys, thanks. We've been going through some of the pictures and got a list together, a couple pictures from some of the wind damage. We've talked a lot lately about all of the flooding potential and the high rivers and all of that. But wind was also a pretty significant part of this storm as well. Lots of trees down across much of the area. This was a picture of a tree that was down in branch. Now, from the report, there were no injuries. Everyone was able to get out okay, so some good news there. But a common scene across much of Acadiana. Entergy crews have been out there working really, really hard, and now that the winds are calming down, they'll have a little more success in trying to get everything cut, cleared away, trying to get that power back on for as many folks as they can. This was a tree down right in the middle of the road in Carencro. And one of the things to think about too when if you do have to be out driving around, it's not necessarily just flooding that can get in the way and cause road closures. Also be aware that there could be a lot of branches, debris, trees down on some of the roadways as well. And then a sad look here. This is out over through Rain. This is the Worthmore's pharmacy store that's there as well. Eric Zernick recently doing a story on that for one of our GMAs on the road, as Erica Carlson pointed out to us. So not just trees down, but vinyl sidings, awnings and stuff that were thrown around, especially down through St. Mary Parish as well. These winds were really kicking up last night, and kind of the power of Mother Nature, really. We're witnessing it firsthand, and crazy to think, that these are 40, 50 mile an hour wind gusts, and with these storms, they can often be sustained double that, So getting fairly lucky, I guess, with the way that Barry did come in. Obviously, small comfort, though, to those who are dealing with some of the tragedies from these storms early on today. So please keep sending in your pictures if you can do so safely, or we're going through them. We're trying to bring them to you. It gives us a great way to try and report the story and kind of focus our coverage a little bit. So I'll be monitoring that as we go through the rest of the morning and the afternoon. Guys?
All right, thanks, Daniel.
But yeah, and even though we're not seeing much activity happening right now, officials are encouraging people to still be on guard because we do have some more rain on the way. Meteorologist Eric Zernick joins us with more. Eric.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at the radar, and I've kind of put some arrows to kind of help show you where some of this rain might be heading next. So let's flip it on, and you can see we got one band that's moving through Iberia Parish. That will continue to work through New Iberia and into portions of St. Martin Parish. So we got that band that we need to continue to watch. And the thing that I'm concerned about is you can see it extends farther down into the Gulf Coast and is continuing to get a few more of those firing up. And what we might have to watch as those get a little bit more isolated in nature, we might have to watch for the possibility for some stronger wind gusts and those tropical rain bands moving in. So not only will you see the rains pick up, you should expect the winds to start gusting maybe 40, 50 miles per hour. We have this band of rain that is beginning to now push into the very southern portion of Vermilion Parish. That'll be working through and eventually could work its way up into Lafayette. And then a little bit farther out to the west, the thing that I've been noticing with this band is you can see the continued extended of more showers developing along the back end of this out into the Gulf of Mexico. So we will continue to see more training back through Cameron Parish and working its way into Jeff Davis with this system. So those are the things that we're paying attention to. Here's the big picture look of Barry as it now is in the northern portion of the state, but deep tropical moisture all the way back into the Gulf of Mexico. That'll continue to be wrapped around and over Acadiana, not only through today, but possibly into Monday. So let's go ahead and look at the model showing kind of what we can expect through the rest of today. Now, maybe not doing the best job, but does show the possibility as we go throughout today, those scattered activity. Now, maybe by the afternoon, we might get a few more breaks. So that is the good news, is it does look like there will be times of the rain picking up, but it's not going to stay prolonged. So I don't expect the flooding to be too terribly throughout the rest of today. It will be more or less just kind of scattered nature. You will maybe get a brief 30-40 minute downpour, but the thing that concerns us the most is pushing through the overnight hours and into Monday morning. That's when we are looking at the possibility for some of those more heavy tropical bands that could produce those 2-3 inch rainfall rates per hour as you're trying to head out the door tomorrow morning. That, if the water hasn't been able to drain, picks up more, that is where we could see our flooding threat continue. And it does look like Barry will continue even into a good portion of our Monday. So just continue to keep that in mind. This is still a marathon we have to get through today, but we'll have lingering effects and could even have more impacts heading into our Monday as you try to head back to work tomorrow. So this is not done just yet. We're only about at the halfway point and still have halfway more to go. It won't be until later on Monday and then eventually into Tuesday that we begin to see things quiet down. So keep that in mind. There's still a long way to go. So if you do get these lulls, that is the time to kind of assess your situation and make sure you're prepared for the next round of showers that'll be moving into your area. So just kind of keep that in mind throughout the rest of our Sunday and then into Monday. Dave, Kendria?
Thanks, Eric. Well, outside of Baton Rouge, residents continue to watch where the heavy rain will end up. Matt Houston reports.
The day started with the usual preparations, a routine informed by generations of neighbors along the Amite River.
It's going to flood, and after that comes a cleanup. You got to wash everything out and all. So the more you get out now that you don't have to wash later, the better.
In French Settlement, that means moving expensive equipment like four-wheelers from underneath piered homes and onto higher ground. But at the Daigle house, there's a little bit more to it than that.
Their house is up off the ground, so we put a piece of plywood in here so they have a place that they can stay up and still roost.
You know, I love it out here. Every day it seems like it's a vacation being on the river, but you get a uneasy feeling and sometimes not much sleep at night.
And there was some wind damage and high water near Lake Maurepas. But by late afternoon, Fred's on the river was filled with folks relaxing.
And I got bored with the news, so I said, hell, let's go to Fred's.
And here you are.
Might as well drink a couple beers. There ain't nothing you can do about the weather.
And though the rain has yet to pour, the people around here are again united by Mother Nature's threat.
Once you finish doing what you can, help somebody else out. You know, because you look around, you find somebody else can use some help.
And perhaps that's what makes this yearly battle worth fighting.
Why stay? Because we love it here. It's our home, and right here is just Louisiana.
Matt Houston, WAFB 9 News.
All right, thanks, Matt. Next, we're going to go over to the Crescent City into New Orleans, where we have ABC's Rob Marciano.
Here in New Orleans, the rain has arrived finally from Barry, although right now it's raining lightly. The rain extends all the way into Mississippi and Alabama. This slow-moving system is going to be with us for a time, right through tomorrow. Matter of fact, it may be raining more heavily this time tomorrow here than it is right now. And the question is, can the giant pumps that pump the water out of this below sea level area be able to keep up with that rainfall? So far, so good. The levees have held. The river didn't get high enough to overtop those levees, at least here. Some of the areas outside of those city walls and some of the areas in southern parishes have dealt with a lot more water than we have here. Still, that being said, any shore that's south facing with this south wind will continue to see mild storm surge today, and we'll be dealing with that and the heavy rainfall. Could see over a foot of rain across South Louisiana today and through tomorrow, and that rainfall eventually gets up into the mid Mississippi Valley and into the Ohio River Valley as well. Life here in New Orleans will get a little bit more back to normal today. The streetcar is closed again today, but the buses are going to start to run. Sanitation crews have been out trying to pick up some of the trash that was left behind.